What's the creepiest thing that ever happened to you when you were alone? Redditors share the creepiest and most unexplainable things that ever happened when they were completely alone. From eerie whispers to vanished people, these are the stories that'll keep you up tonight. 1. I was walking home from my late shift around 2 a.m. The park I cut through had one of those old swing sets that always squeak in the wind. Except that night, there was no wind. One swing was moving slowly, creaking back and forth. I figured maybe someone was there, but the closer I got, the more I realized there was no one. Then, clear as day, I heard a giggle, a little girl's laugh, right next to me. I froze. The swing stopped completely. I haven't walked through that park since. When I was about 16, I stayed home sick while everyone was out. Around noon, I walked past the hallway mirror and saw someone standing behind me. It wasn't a reflection of me, it was a tall, thin man in a hat. I turned around instantly, nobody there. I looked back in the mirror. Gone. I tried to convince myself it was fever hallucination. But when my mom came home, she said, "Why did you leave the back door open?" I didn't. 3. This happened when I was camping alone for the first time. I'd set up my tent near a small stream and turned in early. Around midnight, I woke up because I heard someone calling my name. Not screaming, just calmly saying it, over and over. "Hey Jake! Hey Jake!" It sounded exactly like my best friend's voice. But he was hundreds of miles away. I tried to convince myself I was dreaming, but when I unzipped the tent just a bit, I saw the outline of a man about 20 feet away. He was standing perfectly still, facing me. No flashlight. No sound except for his voice calling my name. When I turned on my flashlight, he was gone. I packed up and left immediately, driving through the night. I've never camped alone again. 4. I live alone in a small house. One night, I woke up to 3 slow knocks at my front door, 2:37 a.m. I thought maybe it was a neighbor, so I called out, "Who's there?" Nothing. Then 3 more knocks. Same rhythm. I peeked through the peephole. No one. I checked the Ring camera later that morning. The motion sensor showed movement, but the video was completely black, as if something had covered the lens. 5. When I was 10, I used to play in the basement while my mom was upstairs cooking. One day, the light bulb went out. I yelled for her, but she didn't hear me. Then, out of nowhere, the pull chain on the ceiling light moved by itself and the light came on again. I ran upstairs crying, and she said, "Oh, that's probably Grandpa. He used to fix the lights all the time." Here's the thing, Grandpa had died before I was born. 6. When I moved into my first apartment, I didn't have much furniture, so I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. Every night, I'd hear faint noises from my closet, shifting, almost like clothes moving. I told myself it was the building settling. One night, I decided to record it. I set my phone to record audio while I slept. In the morning, I listened. At around 3:17 a.m., you can clearly hear a man whisper, "She's still awake." I called the police immediately. They found a small hidden door behind the closet panel that led to a crawl space. Someone had been living there. 7. My grandfather passed away in 2012. He was obsessed with ham radios, the kind you use to talk to other operators. A week after his funeral, I was cleaning out his garage. His old radio was still on the desk, unplugged. I turned away to pack some boxes, and suddenly, I heard static. Then a faint voice. "Don't forget the blue box." I froze. I looked around and there, under the table, was a small blue box full of family photos. None of us had seen it before. My family's house had a steep wooden staircase that creaked loudly. When I was home alone one night, I heard footsteps going up the stairs, slow, deliberate steps. I grabbed a kitchen knife and stood behind the door, waiting. The footsteps stopped at the top. I opened the door and looked. No one there. Then I realized something chilling. There were wet footprints leading up the stairs, but none going down. 9. I live in a rural area. My bedroom faces a long stretch of field with no lights. One winter night, I woke up because I felt someone watching me. I turned toward the window, and there was a face. Just a man's face, inches from the glass, smiling. I screamed, grabbed my phone, and the face vanished. I called the police, but they didn't find anyone. Just footprints in the snow leading up to the window, and none leading away. 10. I used to work as a night cleaner in a small law firm. One evening, I found an old tape recorder on one of the desks. Curious, I hit play. The voice on the tape said, "If you're hearing this, it's already behind you." I laughed nervously and turned around. The office lights flickered, and one of the chairs had moved. I swear it had been facing the desk a moment ago. I packed my stuff and quit the next morning. 11. I had a fever one night and couldn't sleep. I kept hearing a whisper like someone saying my name softly. I thought it was the fever messing with me until I felt something sit on the end of my bed. The mattress dipped under real weight. When I opened my eyes, there was an old woman sitting there, just smiling. Then she leaned forward and said, "It's time to go." I screamed, and she vanished. A few minutes later, my mom came running in. She'd just gotten a call that my grandmother had passed away. 12. I work as a night security guard in a large office building. One floor was under renovation and completely empty. Every night, I'd see motion sensor lights flicker on in the same room, room 319. Every time I went up there, it was locked. One night, I asked maintenance to open it. Inside were old filing cabinets and dust. As we turned to leave, the lights went out, all except one in the corner. On the wall, written in dust, were the words, "Thank you for checking." 13. After my dad passed away, I was sorting through his belongings and found an old Polaroid camera. I pressed the button out of curiosity, and it clicked. A photo slid out, developing slowly. When it finished, I froze. It was a picture of my dad, lying in the coffin from his funeral, from the angle where I was standing when I took the photo. 14. I rented a small studio apartment downtown that had this weird smell, like mold and metal. After a few weeks, I kept hearing noises through the vent, coughing, then whispering. I complained to the landlord. He looked confused and said, "That vent doesn't connect to anything. There's no apartment next to you. The one beside yours was sealed off years ago after a fire." He let me look. There was a burned-out room, with a chair placed right under the vent. 15. Years ago, I called my boyfriend to tell him I was heading home. He picked up, said, "Okay, drive safe. Love you." 2 hours later, I got home, and he was sitting on the couch, phone next to him. He said, "You called me." When we checked both phones, neither of us had any outgoing or incoming calls. But there was a new voicemail on my phone. It was the sound of my own voice saying, "Okay, drive safe. Love you." Those were some of the creepiest experiences Redditors have ever shared. What's the scariest or most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you when you were alone? Drop your story in the comments. Maybe it'll be in the next video.